Let us pray. Dear gracious Heavenly Father, God, we thank you so much, Lord, for this another day, Lord, that you've given us, God. We're so grateful, Lord, for all the wonderful blessings that you bestowed upon us today, Lord, the ones that we've seen, Lord, and the ones that we've not seen, God. We come to you now, Lord, ask that you bless this meeting, Lord, bless each individual that's here, Lord, bless each item on the docket tonight, Lord, and it goes according to your will, Lord. I pray, Lord, now and ask all these things in your dear gracious Heavenly name. Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so we are first going to call to order the City Hall Public Corporation regular meeting with a roll call, please.
Moore. Here. Reeves.
Here.
Knuckles.
Here.
Shepherd.
Here.
Rasmus.
Here. And the first and only thing on the agenda is to elect the officers of the City Hall Public Corporation. And I would like to appoint myself as president, Allison Moore as mayor pro tem as vice president, and secretary treasurer as Seth Reeves. And I need that in a motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Moore.
Just say yes.
Reeves.
Yes.
Knuckles.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
Rasmus.
Yes. And I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Reeves.
Yes.
Knuckles.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
Moore. Rasmus.
Yes. All right, I know that was kind of weird, but we have to do that every January, and so that's all we do. Basically, that just is our corporation that houses basically that we put all the rent for the city hall into. For bond. Oh, and for bond, yeah. See, Bob, I'm so glad you're early today. Yeah, but you said you were gonna be late, so then that makes you early. Okay, all right. So anyway, so we're done with that for the year. And I would like to now introduce first I'm gonna call to order the special called meeting of the Board of Commissioners. And this being a special called meeting, just to let everyone in the audience know, we can't discuss anything that is not on the agenda because it is a special called meeting. So with that, I would first like to introduce our new city commission. So, yes? I gotta do roll call first before I introduce it. Okay, all right. So, roll call, please.
Moore. Here. Reeves.
Here.
Knuckles.
Here.
Shepherd.
Here.
Rasmus.
Here. Now I want to introduce our new commissioners, Allison Moore and Seth Reeves. Welcome. We're glad you're here, and we look forward to working with you all for the next 2 years. Appreciate you all. And then, of course, our existing city commissioners, Trent Knuckles and Brandon Shepherd. Thank you all for continuing to work so hard for the city of Corbin. I look forward to working with you both as well. So, all right. First on the agenda is to approve the December bills for payment. If you've had a chance to look those over, I'll entertain a motion.
So motion. Second.
Moore. Reeves.
Yes.
Knuckles.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
Rasmus.
Yes. Next is to approve the minutes from the December 21st, 2020 regular called meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. Second.
Reeves.
Abstain.
Knuckles.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
Moore. Rasmus.
Yes. All right, now the fun thing that I get to do, I would like to present lovely Miss Emma Smith, a city Corbin Colonel, so come on forward. And I should have said this with the microphone, but Emma was presented with the 2020 National American Miss Kentucky team. So we're so proud of her, and we just know you're going to do great things, and thank you for representing the city of Corbin and the state of Kentucky in this wonderful title. And I'm sorry we couldn't do it in 2020, but you know, COVID, right? I mean, that's the excuse for everything. But anyway, we're glad to present this to you now. Absolutely. Okay, next on the agenda is to appoint a mayor pro tem, and in keeping with tradition, I would like to appoint Allison Moore.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Knuckles,
Yes.
Shepherd,
Yes.
Moore, Reeves,
Yes.
Rasmus,
Yes. Next is to appoint 2 members of the commission to the Budget Committee and 2 members to the Personnel Committee. I would like to appoint myself and Trent Knuckles to Budget and Allison Moore and Brandon Shepherd to Personnel.
Is that motion to approve?
Second.
Shepherd,
Yes.
Moore, Reeves,
Yes.
Knuckles,
Yes.
Rasmus,
Yes, and I would like to point out that I really do appreciate Seth staying on planning and zoning. And I know that you're really busy in your law practice, so I appreciate you letting me be on the budget subcommittee. And believe me, you're gonna be happy that I'm on it as well.
I was happy to hand it over.
I'm sure you were. Okay, so next is to authorize signature changes on bank accounts due to the commission change. So, we need somebody that's extremely handy to sign checks and other things whenever I'm not available, correct?
I think it's, I thought it was mayor. Is it automatically mayor pro tem? I think it's automatically.
All right. Okay,
The bank just needs us to approve it so that we can get that change made.
so you'll have to go down to the bank and do all that.
Yeah,
So, Roberta will take care of you, or Tori, right?
I'll make a motion, to authorize Allison Moore as a signature on the bank account. Did I do that right?
You did. To remove you all.
Second.
Remove whoever's existing.
Moore, Reeves,
Yes.
Knuckles,
Yes.
Shepherd,
Yes.
Rasmus,
Yes. Next is to ratify Mayor Rasmus's signature on letter of support for the Corbin Project LLC and their intent to apply for KEIA incentives. This is, the business ARC, and they are applying for a fairly large grant, so I just need my signature ratified on that.
Is that the letter that was circulated?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to, approve that.
Second.
Reeves,
Yes.
Knuckles,
Yes.
Shepherd,
Yes.
Moore, Rasmus,
Yes. First reading of ordinance 2021-1, an ordinance amending ordinance 2-2018 to delete the requirement that members of the city tree board be citizens and residents of the city of Corbin. We went from 3 to 5 members on the tree board. It's difficult to find people that are willing to serve. We have some people that are interested, and so that's why we removed that requirement, so we could have a active and thriving tree board.
Ordinance number 2021-1, an ordinance of the city of Corbin, Kentucky, amending ordinance number 2-2018 to delete the requirement that members of the city tree board be citizens and residents of the city of Corbin, Kentucky. Be it ordained by the Board of Commissioners of the city of Corbin, Kentucky as follows. Section 1, that ordinance number 2-2018 at section 2, creation and establishment of city tree board is hereby amended and shall read as follows. There is hereby created and established a city tree board for the city of Corbin, Kentucky, which shall consist of 5 members, who shall be appointed by the mayor with the approval of the commission. Section 2, all ordinances or portions thereof in conflict with this ordinance are hereby repealed. Section 3, this ordinance shall take effect upon passage and legal advertisement. First reading, January 19, 2021.
So there'll be 5 members on the board?
Well, there was 5 members that was done last year, but then I never appointed the other 2 members. So we did that last month, and then, the ones that are on there, there's a couple that are not in the city limits, so. Housekeeping.
Is that motion to approve?
Second?
Knuckles,
Yes.
Shepherd,
Yes.
Moore. I was gonna say yes. Yes. Reeves,
No.
Rasmus,
Yes. All right, next, review and take action on Code Enforcement Board's recommendation concerning 908 Carter Street. You wanna come up and talk to this, Alan?
I put, paperwork on your desk there, Code Enforcement Board met on the 4th of this month, and, they wanted to bring the commissioners up to speed on seeking approval for,
You probably need to speak into the microphone, Alan, I'm sorry, just because it's being recorded.
anyway, they're, seeking approval to get bids on cleaning up this piece of property. And, it's been going on too long now, and the property is already down, it's just the rubbish and everything needs to be cleaned up. So I'm asking permission to get the bids for the, removal of the rubbish.
And then to bring the bids back?
Yes, and then I'll bring those bids back.
So are you asking the city clean it up, get bids to have it cleaned up?
Yes.
And then what's the course of action thereafter?
Lien will be placed.
I'm okay with this on this, the structure's down, and normally if the structure goes up. Am I doing a title on this already?
Yes, we did it.
I think you'd be safe doing it that way without a lawsuit being filed. There's no other lien holders or anything on the property, is there?
No. Not that I'm aware of.
And the neighbors of this property, I've been talking with them now for 2 years, they've complained about this, and, you know, they're very upset that this property has been left like this. They keep their neighborhood nice, they're retired people, they're home all the time. There's been some air quality issues, there's been rodent issues, so it's really been a problem.
I'll make a motion for the city to accept bids to have the property cleaned up.
second. Moore, yes. Reeves,
Yes.
Knuckles,
Yes.
Shepherd,
Yes.
Rasmus,
Yes,
Mayor,
thank you, Alan. Yes?
going back to what Alan said, there's a possibility with the way it is and the condition it is in, that we might be able to get Public Works to go over and do it and save us a lot of money.
So I think the thing we can do here is if for whatever reason they can't, then the code enforcement board has the ability to seek bids, but if they can, that probably would be that's what I was wondering too, the best way to do it.
I love that idea, absolutely.
I'll get with Gary and see if we can schedule.
Thank you, Alan. All right, so next is discuss and take action on behavioral health specialist for Corbin Police Department. Marcy and or Kathleen, if you all would like to come and speak on this, and then Rusty's here too, if you all have any questions for him.
Hi, I'm Marcy Ryan, the director at Whitley County Health Department. I think I met a couple of you. I'm happy to be here to talk about something other than COVID. Kathleen has a little packet of background information that hopefully you guys have heard somewhat what we're doing. Whitley County Health Department has a grant called Whitley County STAR, Standing Together for Appalachia Resilience. It's rural opioid response. One of the many interventions that are part of this grant that we would like to move forward on is a pilot project with the city of Corbin, where we work with a behavioral health agency to embed a behavioral health clinician physically within Corbin Police Department. One of the things that you have in your packet is a summary of that proposal.
includes some data about, overdoses occurring within Whitley County and some of the other activities that we have going on. Specifically, the goals for this pilot would be to reduce the repeated, disjointed cycling that people have when they use drugs that end up, encountering the police, encountering emergency services, in the judicial system, and then cycling back out and repeatedly doing that. That creates really high utilizers of our resources. So we want to, reduce the number of times that those people cycle through the systems. We want to reduce the burden on law enforcement, the judicial system, and the emergency medical system of those high utilizers. And we want to improve the continuity of care and the outcomes for people who use drugs and experience mental health crises. So to be clear, this is not defund the police and some of that funky stuff that's been in the media recently. This is really to supplement the police department and provide them with opportunities for training, both informal and formal, as well as a place to go for consultation. Because my husband is retired law enforcement, and I heard for his whole career that 3/4 of the things that he is asked to do as a police officer is related to some social work issue, and not necessarily actual law enforcement requirements. So in keeping with that, this gives a place for us to have, to divert some of that burden, so that somebody is available to answer questions and respond to some of those calls, either with or after the officer, to deal with the real underlying issues, so that officers aren't repeatedly called back to the same locations for similar issues that aren't really law enforcement needs. As well as to provide training to give them tools in their toolbox to, make them more comfortable in dealing with these populations, and just reduce sort of the burden that's impacting them. We're not asking behavioral health clinician to respond to calls as the first person on the scene. We're not asking them to answer 911 calls or any of that. This is a support role that will work out policies and procedures with the police department and the clinician's employer, in order to agree on what the scope will be, what circumstances they would work with the officer. But we want them physically located with the police department so that they are that go-to resource. When there's an issue, when there's a crisis response and the officers need assistance in dealing with that, or assistance in debriefing after those things, that's a resource for them to use. So there's a lot of different opportunities for this person to support the police department. We also want to use them in another aspect of our grant, which is a quick response team, where that person can be a part of a team, an interdisciplinary team, who can follow up on non-fatal overdoses to try and make sure that that person and their family have resources to get them into recovery. Those teams are in place around Kentucky, Ohio, and West Virginia specifically, and they have incredible success in getting people to engage with recovery. If we do that response directly face-to-face with people within about 3 days of their overdose, about 85% of them will engage in recovery activities. So, and specifically related to embedding mental health clinicians or behavioral health clinicians, I use that term interchangeably, with police departments, there are examples of that. They might look slightly different based on each community, but Alexandria, Kentucky has that model, and there's an example article in your packet there. Arlington, Massachusetts, Los Angeles, California, Portland, Maine, there are models out there that have been in place, and they've been effective in working in that interdisciplinary team. So my overarching request is the commission's support in taking the next steps to further that activity. Our grant is through September 2021. Because of COVID, we have the opportunity for a no-cost extension. We're hoping that we would like to get a full year out of this pilot project to maybe go through February 2022, to really demonstrate that it's something that's beneficial to the community. Part of the activities that the health department will do is act as a fiscal agent, and will also act as sort of the organizational support for the organizations that are participating in this activity. So we'll help with policy and procedure development, defining scope, some of the evaluation activities, and then like the checks from the grant funding. So I am open to questions that the group might have.
Will this place an individual in the Corbin Police Department? So there'll be a full-time salaried
So,
position?
what we see is, well, they'll physically be located in an office, near the chief, physically here at the police department. They will be employed by, a healthcare agency that provides behavioral health services, rather than having them be employed by the city or by, the health department. The reason for doing that is because, depending on the, professional qualifications, there are supervision requirements that, people have to have for their licensure. There's billing issues and specific insurance and things like that, that we don't necessarily want to get into the business of, so we'll contract those services to basically physically have them here. In an organizational chart, I would refer to that as the dotted line supervision between, the chief and the police chief and, the clinician, but their employer would be the off-site behavioral health agency. That makes sense.
How available would this person be? Cause I thought, were they gonna have like regular first shift hours, what if something happens on
So,
second or first?
yeah, I envision, since it's one person and we can't work them 24/7, 365, what I envision is that would be a negotiation point between the chief to look at sort of where their significant call burden is. Is it the evening hours? Is it night shift? Is it day shift? And sort of, negotiate that work schedule based on the needs of the department. And then have, after the fact follow-up on some things that are off hours there. Because it's one person, I think that there might be a way to structure it so that there are some, on-call response for certain thresholds, but wouldn't be able to make it a regular thing because it's one person and we want them to survive the ordeal. So I think that would be part of what we would help negotiate that scope of work to be, between the person.
Do the grant funds 100% pay for it?
Yes, the grant funds will pay for the salary of the individual, they can pay for rent for the space, the equipment, the computer, and the cell phone, and things like that, for that individual. We also have grant funds for, if there's any, supplies needed for that quick response team, that follow-up to the non-fatal overdoses, where we can provide funding if they need a tablet to take with them to document things, or if they need supplies, to share with families, if we need to pay for overtime for staff to be part of that team, we have that built into this grant as well.
It says in your packet that the proposed team members are the police department and fire department, so will there be an individual for the police and fire, or will it be the same person for both?
It'll be
departments?
one person, and I would anticipate they'd be accessible to the fire department as well. One of the things that we have talked about with the quick response team, Craig Tisa things, which is that follow-up overdose, is, the model likes to have an EMT of some kind as part of that team, in case there is some first aid thing or some medical question that comes up in the conversation that happens in that follow-up. So, in talking with Chief Hedrick, he mentioned that the fire department's all cross-trained as EMTs, and we thought that might be a potential, based on availability, of utilizing those people. We haven't had a discussion with the chief, about their availability or willingness to do that, but we'd like to wrap, the pilot, for convenience sake, around the city, just so that we have, people that are used to working together, and in the same geographic area, to the greatest extent that we can, just to make this a successful pilot.
I think one concern that I have is if the grant, if this works, and I think that it would work, I see it every day in my law practice. People are struggling with mental health issues, so I think it would be a positive thing. But what happens when this grant runs out and we need this person to stay on? Is that something that's gonna cut into the police department budget going forward, or the fire department budget going forward? Obviously, we'll have to come up with the funding somewhere. Hopefully, we are able to continue this grant on out, but that's one concern that I would have.
Sure, and that's always a grant concern, no matter what you're working on, is that sustainability beyond the grant life. One of the things that we would like to support, and as we do this pilot, is explore billing options for that behavioral health clinician and their activities. So if they can bill for their services, if they can bill for assessments and follow-up, with patients that they interact with, then that potentially would help sustain that program long-term. So we wanna look at that and try to see how we can build those steps in there to really see, can we support it 100%, can we only support it 50%? I mean, to look at where those gaps are, that'll be part of the evaluation of this project. Certainly, the request for commitment at this point is for the duration of the pilot project, which is the duration of the grant funding. And that's how we've been approaching it with, discussions with the healthcare provider, that the commitment is just for the duration of the grant without promises. You know, the promise of a long-term position is based on funding. If there's no funding, then the position potentially can end.
Do you have clinician identified?
We do not. We will have to hire because we had a couple that we were interested in. They have specific funding, loan repayment, requirements that are very specific about where and what they can do. So we will have to recruit, and that will add an additional challenge to this. But it also gives us the opportunity to really write the position description and really shop for somebody who has the skills, not only in being a good mental health clinician, but also some program development, because this is really a new thing for us, and we can really build it to look like what will work for Corbin. And so there's opportunity there, but it does add a complexity.
Like a high impact opportunity.
Yeah, I think it's really exciting, and I think we have some flexibility in what kind of clinician. So there are some options for advanced nurse practitioner, or, you know, licensed clinical social worker, or there's a bunch of different licenses out there that we could try to advertise for that would fit at least the professional licensure piece of things, and then that the skill level required to really be able to integrate into the police department and be part of the team, and accomplish a lot in a short period of time.
All right, anybody else have any other questions for Marcy or for Rusty? He's here and available as well.
Chief Hedrick, have you talked to the members of the police department? Is this something that they want?
I have spoken to a few of the members, and they believe it's a great idea. Not only just to having someone there in-house that we could discuss traumatic incidents with, but for the scope of this, for the purpose. Like Marcy said, when we go out and a lot of the calls that we go to, it is something that maybe a social worker, someone with behavioral health, education needs to be on that scene, but we're the only people that people know to call. So it's us, and we're handling those. And then the timely manner that we're able to take care of this situation would greatly improve, because we'll have someone in-house that can address this situation. Because the way we handle it now, if we address someone with a mental health situation, it takes one, maybe two officers, depending on the situation. Half of their shift, they're dealing with this one situation. It's taking those officers off the road. So having someone in-house, that cuts that time, almost in half. We can get the advice and direction from this in-house person on what we need to do. The response has been greatly received from the members that I have spoke with.
Not only that, Rusty, we ask a lot of our police officers in society. We're dealing with people who are on their worst days. And so if they had this resource, which sounds like an amazing resource to me, that they could go to in those situations where they're dealing with a mental health problem, which is very pervasive. There's a lot of that going around. That could just really help our policing in our community.
Absolutely.
We could have better outcomes, I think, in our community if we had this. And this actually means a lot to me, because my wife is a social worker. She's been out on all these calls and seen firsthand. Like, I just know it makes a difference. It makes a difference. If they had it, I think it would be good. I appreciate, Marcy, that you're thinking of the city of Corbin for a pilot project for this. I support it. I think has the potential to be a really great thing.
And we have space. There's an office there close to my office that we could utilize to house whoever has the position.
And kudos to Kathleen for writing this grant. Great job.
Well, thank you, but Marcy actually wrote it.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
You're just administering it. Is
Yes.
that the correct? Oh, well then, good job, Marcy.
Thank you. And my appreciation to Chief Hedrick, who serves on our leadership team and has really stepped up all along the way to really be supportive of the grant and the activities, and willing to be our guinea pig when we ask him questions about what would law enforcement like, or what would they do.
Well, you look at these numbers and they're really terrifying. The drug overdose mortality rate, 62.1% for Whitley County, Kentucky per 100,000 population. The U.S. drug overdose mortality rate, 27.1. So we've got a real problem here, and anything that we can do to help our people get beyond, like Trent said, the worst day of their lives, we want to be able to try to do that for them.
I guess that we need a motion to accept this partnership with the health department, or what is it we need here?
You just want support, right?
Yes, sir. However you'd like to do it.
We just wanted to make sure the commission had the opportunity to ask questions and express support if you're willing to allow us to proceed with this, so however you'd like to do that, we just like.
A motion of support and a motion to agree to proceed with the project, with the grant.
To embed a behavioral health specialist in the Corbin Police Department, paid for by the Whitley County Health Department for the term of the grant.
Did you get all that, Roberta?
You got it before.
I make that motion.
Second.
Shepherd,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Reeves,
Yes.
Knuckles,
Yes.
Rasmus.
Yes, thank you, Marcy.
Thank you.
Good presentation. All right, next on the agenda is board appointments. I need to appoint Brian Baylor, back on the CIDC board. And I think that's a 3-year term. Will expire January 31st, 2024. And Ricky Lynch, back on code enforcement, same thing, 3-year appointment, expires January 31st, 2024.
What's the CIDC?
Oh, I'm sorry, Corbin Industrial Development Commission.
And were they both in those positions previously?
Yeah, just reappointing.
Bob, don't we have to have two separate motions?
Okay, sorry about that. So first, Brian Baylor to CIDC.
Second.
All about it.
Okay, Allison made the motion then.
Use your microphone.
Oh, sorry. Make the motion.
I make the motion.
I'll second it. For
Moore.
Brian Baylor.
Moore,
Yes.
Reeves,
Yes.
Knuckles,
Yes.
Shepherd,
Yes.
Rasmus.
Yes, and Ricky Lynch to code enforcement.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Reeves,
Yes.
Knuckles,
Yes.
Shepherd,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Rasmus.
Yes. Next is to discuss and take action on flower planters on Main Street.
I had that added to the agenda. I had several business owners on Main Street contact me, asking questions about the flower planters that used to line Main Street, and if we could get them placed back, and I honestly didn't even know they'd been moved until it was brought to my attention. I think that it's something that looked good, looked nice, and made our city beautiful. I don't know what the fiscal impact is with maintaining those year round. But I think that it's something that added to our city, and I know that several business owners want them placed back where they were. So that's why I asked for it to be placed on the agenda.
Maggie, you care to come up and speak on that?
I can speak on it if Maggie wants to add to it. I didn't know what this was about, or probably could have discussed this further. We've got a problem with handicap accessibility. Those planters are very large, and it makes it next to impossible for people that are in wheelchairs or any kind of motorized, you don't call that a vehicle, what do you call that? Scooters, to make it around those planters. We've had increased amounts of foot traffic, which is such a great thing, but it really caused some issues with accessibility, and that's why they removed, they've not left Main Street, they've just been placed in places where it doesn't cause any kind of ingress or egress problem. So that's what that's about.
Yeah, and I didn't know, I just knew that Roberta needed the information for the agendas sooner rather than later, so I knew that we didn't have time to really discuss it beforehand, but I don't know if it's an option to get something smaller or do something different, but I think that you know, it was nice. I enjoyed having it, especially in the fall with pumpkins and the fodder shots and all that good stuff. That's something we can look at a later date.
Sure, absolutely. I don't have any problem with that. Maybe we could come up with some smaller planners, kind of like what Seasons has, some planners that are, you know, more, narrow, and condensed. So, yeah, I don't have any problems looking at that, absolutely. All right, so let's see. Next on the agenda is to change firefighter Stephen Walker from full-time to part-time status.
I have a letter here from, Mr. Walker. It says, Chief McDonald, the intent of this letter is to inform you that I will be stepping down from my full-time position effective 12/31/2020. I would like to be transitioned to a part-time position also effective 12/31/2020. I want to thank you and the city of Corbin for the opportunity to do something that I love to do. He went on to say that he was taking a job that would be more financial for his family at this time.
Well, we all hate that for sure, but we certainly understand it. Did you want to say something, Trent?
No, I'll just make a motion.
Go ahead.
Knuckles,
Yes.
Shepherd,
Yes.
Moore. Yes. Reeves,
Yes.
Rasmus.
Yes, next on the agenda is fire department promotions.
I actually got three. One of them, I need to move from part-time status to full-time status 6 years ago. It was supposed to happen last year or last month. Larry Daniels. Can we do that?
Can we do that,
It's fire
Bob?
department promotion.
They say part,
Yes. So it's from part-time to full-time.
Gotcha.
So Larry, you're full-time now. Once they vote on you.
Oh, from probational to full-time, right?
Right.
Not part-time, okay.
Right.
Probational to full-time,
Right.
okay.
My bad.
That's okay.
Next is moving, Thomas McDaniel from firefighter to lieutenant. And Trevor Allen from lieutenant to captain. You guys come on up.
Congratulations, guys.
Gotta do the motion first.
That's all right, we'll do this first, then we'll flip back. Okay. Okay, guys, come on up. Congratulations. Bring your families. Trevor, where's that baby? All right, we'll forgive you. No, congratulations, guys. Okay.
Motion to accept those promotions as outlined by Chief McDonald.
Second.
Shepherd,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Reeves,
Yes.
Knuckles,
Yes.
Rasmus.
Yes. All right, so now we'll move on to the city manager's report.
I have a couple of things, Mayor, just some updates. The lights downtown, the green light poles have all been changed over to LED. If you'll notice, it's a lot brighter on Main Street, so that's been done. And then just the Miller Park update, I was up there today, they're moving dirt like crazy. They've already got the Rasmus pickleball court and then the basketball court built. And they've got the batting cages done too. They're starting to work on the.
Well, whose are those?
Well,
The Shepherd batting
we'll
cage?
pick names for everybody, but since those were your all's two pet peeves. But the weather's been cooperative and they're being able to do a whole lot of stuff, so that's it.
That's great news. We're looking forward to that in the spring then. Yeah. All right. That's it?
Yes, and it'll probably be the summer before it's done.
Okay, I won't rush it then. Okay, so we're gonna skip the library report. She's gonna do that on quarterly, so that was just a mistake on our part. And then we will jump to the tourism report.
All right, well, good evening, Mayor, members of the City Commission. Happy New Year to you all. we have decided to kick the new year off right. So this weekend, we attended the WYMT rather, Fishing Expo at the Corbin Arena, which was my first travel show in a year. So it was really nice to be able to connect with people. That show went really well. We saw people from Prestonsburg, Northern Kentucky, all over the state. And we had special guests from the kayak bass fishing. And we are actually hosting in October of this year, the first national college championship for kayak bass fishing. So they brought their kayak out and their rig was amazing and we were just the talk of the city. So it was a really good time. And of course, yesterday, kicked off Restaurant Week. So restaurants all over the city of Corbin are offering a special signature dish at a price point that works for them. We've gotten tremendous response from that program. We're seeing pictures on our social media platforms. We are hearing great comments. And what's great about it is every restaurant that's participating is offering something different. And so there's a wide variety of choices and price points. Whether you want the Buckin' Belly Buster burrito from Austin City, or the Albuquerque burger from Chef's Place, to the $5 chicken nuggets, ice cream at Sweetie's. So it's tremendous fun, and we are grateful to our media partners for all the exposure of our restaurants. And then January 30th, we are hosting our very first pub crawl. So we've got the Signature Spirit Shuffle. So just a brief background on that event. We had worked with the 6 restaurants in downtown Corbin that sell alcoholic beverages to create a signature drink for each restaurant. The common ingredient in all of those drinks is Buffalo Trace bourbon. Buffalo Trace is our official sponsor, and we have been able to kind of connect Corbin with bourbon. And so the official debut of those signature drinks is on January 30th. So we've gotten tremendous response for that event, and we're really excited. And after the debut, of course, those drinks will be available year-round. So we're very excited about our pub crawl. The Tourism Commission released the 2021 calendar of events schedule. So God willing, we'll be able to do every single one of them. We have lots of great things for families to come out and do this year. The majority of them are outside, so they're outdoor events. And we've added a few new ones, so we're very excited about that. And the most exciting news of my day is that we've hit the big time. We are on the cover of the 2021 official Kentucky Visitors Guide this year. So it's been a long time coming, and I'm very proud and excited to share this with you, that we are the image that every household that requests a Visitors Guide will see. So exciting stuff. So that's all I've got. More than happy to answer any questions that you all may have, and I appreciate your time.
Maggie, thank you for being a bright light and a breath of fresh air in this horrific time that we have been in, and I just so appreciate your bubbly personality, and I am so happy that we got Cumberland Falls on that visitor's guide, because I honestly think that it's your personality that has finally pushed that thing over the finish line and got it on the cover. That's amazing.
Well,
thank you for your hard work.
Thank
Anybody got anything for Maggie?
Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. All right, guys. I guess since it's special call meeting, we can't talk about anything else. So motion to adjourn, please.
So motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moore,
Yes.
Reeves,
Yes.
Knuckles,
Yes.
Shepherd,
Yes.
Rasmus.
Yes.